What is Legends of Runeterra? Runeterra is a turn-based card game spin-off of Riot's hit game League of Legends. Set in the same universe, you take control of a plethora of units and spells in order to win the game. Much like League, Runeterra can be a bit intimidating at first. What's a unit? When can I play my spells? What's the stack? I will answer all of these questions and more in this ultimate beginner's guide to Legends of Runeterra. The turn system. Every game of Runeterra operates using the same turn-based system. A player is picked at random to go first. This is called priority. You have priority when it is your turn to act. The player with priority then chooses either to play a card or to pass. You can pass as often as you like, and knowing when to pass is a very important concept. But don't worry about that for now. Let's keep going. To play a card, simply drag it from your hand onto the field and release. There you go. After you act, priority passes to the other player, who can then choose to play their own card or to pass. This will continue as long as each player has cards to play. The round ends when both players pass. You can tell when you have taken all available actions when the round end button turns green. Auto pass is enabled by default, but I've elected to turn this feature off. Every round, one player has the attack token, which simply signifies which player can attack with their units. This passes back and forth at the end of every round, although there are a couple of ways to get around this. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? Let's move on to mana. Mana. Mana is the lifeblood of Runeterra. Everything you do will require mana. Want to play that big beefy unit? You gotta pay a big beefy mana price. But don't worry, there's an easy solution. Both players start off with 1 mana, and both players gain a mana crystal every round. That means all you gotta do is wait. Well, that and survive, that is. If you're in a hurry, there are cards that give you extra mana crystals, letting you play those big units and spells faster than your opponent. This is known as ramping. There are even cards that destroy a mana crystal as payment for their effect, quite a steep price. This is generally referred to as a bad move, but desperate times call for desperate measures. In addition to your regular mana, there is what is known as spell mana. Say you don't have a 1-cost card to play on turn 1. Well, that's a shame, but worry not. That unspent mana transforms into spell mana at the end of the round. As the name implies, this mana can only be spent on spells, not units. Each player can hold on to 3 spell mana at once. For example, if you don't spend 3 mana, you will gain 3 spell mana at the end of that round. Any more mana than that is lost forever though, so be sure to spend carefully. And that's all there is to it. Now let's talk about card types. Card types, units and spells. In Runeterra, there are 2 basic types of cards, units and spells. Playing any card requires 1 action, with a very important exception that I'll get into later. For example, let's say it's turn 1 and you have a 1-cost unit in your hand. What a deal! Go ahead and drag that card from your hand onto the field and release. And there you go, it's that easy. You'll notice that every unit has 3 numbers on it. Those are its mana cost, power or attack, and health. When a unit's health goes to 0 or below, it dies and is removed from play. Some units have special effects when they die. This is called Last Breath. Or if you've played Hearthstone like I have, you'll know this as Death Rattle. Now let's get into some nitty-gritty. Are you ready? Let's talk about spells. When a spell is cast in Runeterra, it goes on to what is known as the stack. The stack is a way of letting players respond to spells before they resolve. In order to understand the stack, one must first understand speed. Every card in Runeterra has a speed. Slow, fast, or burst speed. All units are slow, with 1 exception, and a good number of spells are too. This means that you can only cast 1 card of that speed per action, and cannot be played on the stack in reaction to anything or during combat. If you want to cast another slow speed spell or summon another unit, you'll have to wait for your opponent to pass priority back to you. Now here's where it gets interesting. Fast spells allow you to cast multiple of that speed at once. However, once you commit to casting them, you lose priority. Let's say you have 6 mana and 3 Mystic Shots in hand. If you wanted to, you could cast all 3 of those Mystic Shots at the same time. But once you hit that OK button, you lose priority. And last but certainly not least, Burst Speed. These spells are so nimble that you don't lose priority when you cast them. Burst Speed spells are uninteractable, which means you'll have to plan ahead in order to play around them. For example, let's say your opponent has a very powerful unit on the board. You may choose to cast a spell in order to try and remove that unit. Let's say Vengeance. Once you cast a Vengeance, you will see the spell in the middle of the field of play. That's the stack. Say they have the spell Bastion. Oh no. Once you cast Vengeance, a fast spell, they gain priority and can cast Bastion, a burst spell, protecting their minion from your Vengeance. What can you do about that? Now if you were smart, or simply lucky, then you kept another fast spell to break that spell shield. Because of the way the stack works, spells that are cast first resolve last. Meaning, in our example, that once they played Bastion and passed back, you could play Vile Feast. Spells on the stack resolve from left to right, meaning you can see which spell is going to resolve first simply by looking at the stack. And if you're ever confused as to what is going to happen, you can always use the Oracle lens to help you out. Located on the left side of the playing field, there is a small blue eye that will show you the results of any particular stack or combat. Very helpful. That is unless there is a random effect that has not been committed yet on the stack, in which case showing the result would be cheating. Now, having kept your Vile Feast, another fast speed spell, for just such an occasion, you can break the spell shield before your Vengeance resolves, thus killing the unit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a basic example of how the stack works. That all being said, there are units that act like fast and burst speed spells. Skills act like fast speed spells, giving your opponent the opportunity to react before the skill resolves, while play effects act like burst speed, happening immediately. Now that that's all sorted, I do have to admit that I lied to you. There's a third and fourth type of card known as champions and landmarks. Champion cards are units with a special ability and a level up condition. Once this condition has been met, they level up, gaining stats and even more special abilities. These cards are so powerful that you can only have 6 of them per deck, and usually are the focus of the entire deck. Now landmarks are essentially permanent units that cannot be damaged due to not having any health. Landmarks require specific removals such as Desert Naturalist or Scorched Earth. Landmarks tend to have countdown related effects, while some have an ongoing aura effect. Phew, that was a lot, but we made it. And that's the end of this part. I'll see you over in part 2, keywords. Remember, thanks for watching, like and subscribe.